She's thinking about you more than you realize, but she won't text, she won't say it, she won't admit a thing. Instead, she lets it slip in small, subtle ways, and most men miss all of it. Let's be real. You've been there. You've sat across from a woman, feeling something in the air like tension, like heat, but not knowing what to do with it. You're not sure if she's into you or just being nice. You overthink every word. You leave the conversation kicking yourself, wondering, was that a sign? Did I blow it? The truth is, when a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she shows it not in words, but in signals. Body language, eye contact, subtle shifts. She gives you more than she intends to, but only if you know how to read it. That's what this video is for. We're going to break down 10 hidden signs she's imagining you when you're not around. These aren't basic dating tips. This is real psychological insight grounded in how desire works, how attraction leaks through the cracks. And when you recognize these signals, you'll never sit there guessing again. You'll know, you'll feel it, you'll own the moment. And the last sign, number 10, that one changes everything. Let's get into it. Sign 1. She gets physically close for no reason. You're standing in line at the grocery store. You feel someone just a little too close behind you. You turn around. It's her. She smiles, maybe says something casual like, "Looks like it's moving slow today." But the thing is, the entire aisle is empty. She didn't have to stand that close. That's not random. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, physical distance shrinks not because she has to, but because she wants to feel your presence. It's instinctive. She's not always aware of it herself, but her body betrays the attraction. And the truth is, no woman gets close to a man she's not at least curious about. Let me give you a real example. Robert, 47, divorced for 2 years, lives in Austin, Texas. He told me about a co-worker, Sarah, 42, newly single. For months, she kept showing up at the break room around the same time as him. She'd lean over when pouring her coffee, brushing against his shoulder. She'd sit right next to him during meetings, even when the room was half empty. At first, Robert thought nothing of it. He assumed she was just friendly. Until one day, she leaned in so close while showing something on her laptop, he could smell her perfume. And it hit him. She doesn't do this with anyone else. That's the point. She creates a kind of private orbit, one where you're the center. She might accidentally touch your arm when laughing. She'll position herself closer to you than to other men. She'll lean in when she talks, even if she doesn't need to. This isn't about desperation. It's not about being obvious. It's about proximity equals desire. It's a soft power move, a way of saying, "I want you in my space," without saying a single word. And don't be fooled, this is especially common with women who are emotionally guarded. They won't flirt with their words. They won't send clear signals, but they'll find ways to be near you, to feel your energy without committing to exposure. It's safe, it's strategic, and it's very, very real. Here's what you can do when this happens. First, don't pull away. Don't step back nervously. Just stay grounded, stay relaxed. Let the closeness happen without reacting like it's a big deal. Confidence isn't about chasing, it's about allowing. Second, mirror her energy subtly. If she leans in, you hold the space. If she touches your arm, you don't flinch. If she steps into your orbit, you welcome it, not with words, but with calm presence. And last, watch her reaction. Does she stay close? Does she smile and keep talking? Does she linger longer than necessary? If yes, then congratulations, you're in her head. And chances are, you've been in her imagination for a while. Now here's the twist. This is just the beginning. Her physical closeness is the first leak in the dam. What comes next goes much deeper, into how her eyes, not just her body, start telling the story. If you've ever had this happen to you, drop a comment. I've seen this. Let's keep going. The next sign is right in her stare, and once you notice it, You'll never unsee it. Sign 2. She stares and doesn't look away. Most people look at each other all the time, but only for a second or two. That's normal, that's safe, that's social. But when a woman stares and doesn't look away, something deeper is happening. It's not just that she sees you, it's that she's feeling something when she does, and more importantly, she doesn't want that moment to end. Now, this isn't about creepy eye contact. It's not about being weird. It's about that pause that beat longer than necessary. That look that feels like she's scanning your soul or imagining something she won't say out loud. It often starts subtle. She looks, you notice, you look back. She holds it just a second too long, and then maybe she looks away with a little smile. Or maybe she doesn't look away at all. That's not a coincidence. It's a signal, because when attraction goes unspoken, it shows up in the eyes first. It's involuntary. The pupils dilate, the blink rate slows, the stare lingers. The Stoics believe deeply in reading what people do, not what they say. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When she's thinking about you, when you've entered that inner world, even for a moment, it shows up right there in her gaze. She's not looking at your clothes. She's not just listening to your words. She's watching you, seeing you, holding you in that mental frame. And if you don't recognize it, you'll miss one of the most honest forms of desire a person can show. Here's how to know it's not just a passing glance. She looks even when you're not talking. She watches you when someone else is speaking. She makes eye contact across a crowded room and doesn't flinch. Sometimes she'll even look down after, not because she's shy, but because she got caught wanting, and that's powerful. Because eye contact, the real kind, isn't just about seeing, it's about being seen. It's about exposure, vulnerability, curiosity. When she lets herself hold that moment, what she's really doing is asking a question without saying a word. Do you see me too? Here's the tricky part. Some men get nervous. They see the stare and they look away fast, like they're scared of it. Don't do that. Let it land. Stay in it. Own it. That doesn't mean you glare back or try to overpower her gaze. Just match her calm, smile, keep the silence. Let her be the first to look away, or maybe not. Because when a woman can't stop thinking about you, her eyes don't lie. They'll find you across the room. They'll wander toward you when her mind does, and they'll stay just long enough for you to feel it too. If this sounds familiar, if you've ever caught that stare and wondered what it meant, drop a comment. I've felt that. But here's the thing. A stare is one thing. It's passive. What happens when she mirrors your every move without even noticing? That's what we're about to uncover next. Let's keep going. Sign 3. She copies your moves without knowing. Ever notice how you cross your arms, and 2 minutes later, she does the same? Or you lean back in your chair and then suddenly, she shifts in the same way. This isn't coincidence. It's not mimicry for fun. It's called mirroring, and it's one of the clearest unconscious signs of psychological connection. When someone feels drawn to you, especially when desire is involved, they subconsciously match your posture, gestures, and energy. They fall into rhythm with you. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. John is 52. He's a financial advisor from San Diego. A few months ago, he met Rachel, 44, divorced, 2 teenage kids, through a mutual friend at a small dinner gathering. John's calm, reserved, confident, not flashy, just grounded. During the evening, he noticed something strange. Every time he reached for his glass of wine, Rachel reached for hers. When he leaned in to respond to a question, so did she. When he scratched his jaw, a few seconds later, she brushed her hair back in the exact same rhythm. At first, John thought he was imagining things, but it kept happening. The timing, the pacing. It was like watching a dance, one she didn't even realize she was part of. That's mirroring. And when it shows up like that, naturally, effortlessly, it usually means one thing: she's emotionally synced up with you. Now, here's what's wild. This isn't something she's doing on purpose. She's not consciously thinking, "Let me copy him so he notices me." It's limbic resonance. Her brain is literally syncing with yours on a primal, energetic level. Why? Because mirroring builds trust. It builds rapport. It feels good, even if the person doesn't realize why. And when that rapport crosses into the realm of attraction, it becomes a feedback loop. She mirrors you. You feel closer. She senses that, and it deepens. It's a soft way of saying, "I feel safe with you. I want to be in sync." Here's how to spot it clearly. Let's say you're out at a cafe. You lean forward. She leans forward within 5 seconds. You adjust your sleeve. She touches her wrist. You speak with your hands. Her gestures start to mirror the same tempo. It doesn't have to be exact. It's not mimicry, it's rhythm. And here's the thing, when this happens, don't call it out. Don't say, "Hey, are you copying me?" That breaks the spell. Just stay in rhythm. Stay calm. Let her feel safe, syncing with you. That sense of flow of chemistry is something men often miss, because we're taught to look for words, for obvious flirtation. But this is deeper, quieter, real. And when it shows up, it almost always means you've entered her thoughts. She's imagining you, feeling you, playing with that energy in her head, and her body follows. If you've ever caught a woman copying your vibe like this, leave a comment. "I've seen that. You free." Now, what happens when the signals stop being subtle? When she starts touching you, just barely, just enough to make your brain light up, that's where we're headed next. Let's keep going. Sign 4. She keeps finding ways to touch you. Think about this for a second. Most people don't go around touching strangers. We live in a culture where personal space is respected, especially for adults. If someone's brushing against you, tapping your arm, letting their hand linger on your shoulder, it means something. When a woman keeps finding excuses to touch you, it's one of the strongest subconscious giveaways that she's drawn to you. It's not about a handshake or a polite pat on the back. It's about those little, almost unnecessary touches that sneak in when she's around you. She laughs at your joke and lets her fingers brush your forearm. She taps your chest lightly to make a point. She hands you something, and her hand lingers just a second too long. On the surface, it's innocent, but underneath, it's intimacy, physical closeness disguised as casual. And here's the truth. Touch is primal. It bypasses words and goes straight to the nervous system. Research shows it releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. That's why it feels electric. That's why it stays with you. The Stoics understood this on a deeper level. Epictetus once said, "When we kiss our children, we should silently remind ourselves they are mortal, not ours to keep." The point wasn't about romance, but about awareness of what touch really means. Touch isn't random, it carries weight, it reveals attachment. And when a woman keeps finding ways to touch you, even lightly, it means she's inviting you into her private space, something she doesn't offer to everyone. Now, how do you know it's attraction and not just friendliness? Watch the patterns. Does she do it only with you or with everyone? Does she lean in while touching or pull back quickly? Does she smile right after, maybe even blush a little? If her touches are paired with those other signals like staring longer than normal or leaning in closer than she needs to, you're not imagining it. You're not overthinking. It's her body leaking desire. The key is what you do in return. Don't jump in and grab her hand. Don't escalate too fast. That kills the subtlety and often the attraction. Instead, let it breathe. Let her create the contact. Mirror the energy with calmness, maybe a light touch back if it feels natural, but never chase. Attraction grows strongest in the space between what's said and what's held back. So next time it happens, don't dismiss it. Don't tell yourself it's just coincidence. Recognize it for what it is, a doorway into her imagination. Because if she's touching you, she's already been picturing it long before she did. If you've ever felt that electric spark from a harmless touch, let me know in the comments. I want this. And one more thing, if you're serious about mastering these signals, if you want to go deeper into Stoicism, psychology, and the art of becoming unshakable in relationships, I invite you to become a channel member. Inside, you'll get access to exclusive videos and deeper strategies we don't share publicly. It's for men who are ready to level up and live with true power. But for now, let's keep moving. Because touch is powerful, yes. But what happens when her voice itself starts to change around you, when the tone softens, lowers, and pulls you closer without her even realizing? That's the next sign, and it might surprise you. Sign 5. Her voice drops when she talks to you. Have you ever noticed how some conversations feel different, not because of the words, but because of the tone, the pitch, the rhythm, the softness? That's no accident. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, one of the ways it slips out is through her voice. She lowers it, she softens it. She makes it feel like the two of you are in on something private, even if you're surrounded by people. Let me give you a real example. Michael, 55, is a contractor from Denver. After his divorce, he wasn't even thinking about dating. But at a local charity event, he met Linda, 49, a high school teacher. The first thing he noticed wasn't her looks, it wasn't her laugh, it was the way her voice changed whenever she spoke directly to him. In a group conversation, she was lively, animated, even a little loud. But the second she turned to Michael, her tone dropped, her words slowed down. It was softer, warmer, almost like the room disappeared, and she was speaking only to him. He told me later, it wasn't what she said, it was how she said it. I felt like she was letting me into a part of herself nobody else was seeing. That's exactly what happens when attraction takes over. The voice follows the emotion. Subconsciously, she's trying to draw you closer, make you lean in, tune into her. It's intimate, it's magnetic, and it's rarely something she controls. Now here's the science behind it. Studies have shown that both men and women lower their voices when speaking to someone they're attracted to. It's primal. It signals closeness. It invites connection. It's like her body is saying, pay attention, this is for you. But there's something deeper too. When she lets her voice drop, it's not just about pulling you in, it's about vulnerability. Think about it. People raise their voices to dominate, to be heard, to control a room. They lower their voices to share secrets, to connect, to build trust. So if she's consistently doing this with you, if she's shifting into that softer, lower register, whenever the two of you talk, it's a clear sign that you're on her mind more than she wants to admit. And here's what you should do in return. Don't overthink it. Don't suddenly start whispering back like it's a performance. Just stay calm. Match her energy naturally. Let the tone guide the connection. When the voice drops, it's not about volume, it's about intimacy. Now let me warn you, not every lowered voice means desire. Some people are just naturally soft-spoken. The difference is in the change. If she's loud and bubbly with everyone else, then suddenly quiet and low-toned with you, that's when you know. Michael figured this out quickly. The more time he spent around Linda, the more he noticed it. She didn't do it with other men. She didn't shift her energy for anyone else. It was him. That was her subconscious leaking attraction, and it made all the difference. So, if you've experienced this before, if a woman's voice has ever dropped just for you, leave a comment. I've seen this. And keep watching. Because if her voice betrays her emotions, wait until you notice what she does next. Sometimes, she won't just play with her tone. She'll play with the dynamic teasing, testing, watching how you react. That's the next sign, and it reveals even more than words ever could. Sign 6. She plays hard, but watches you react. You've probably seen this before. 1 minute she's warm, laughing, leaning into you. The next minute, she pulls back. She crosses her arms, changes the subject, or suddenly acts like she doesn't notice you at all. It feels confusing. It feels like a game. And in many ways, it island. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she won't always let herself be obvious. She'll test. She'll tease. She'll create little waves of distance just to see how you handle them. And while it might feel frustrating in the moment, it's actually one of the clearest signs that you're in her head. Here's why. Desire isn't just about closeness. It's also about tension. If she's drawn to you, she might try to protect herself by pushing away just enough to see what you'll do. Will you panic? Will you chase? Or will you stay calm, centered, unshaken? This is where Stoicism becomes powerful. Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's exactly what's happening in these moments. She's not testing because she doesn't like you. She's testing because she does. She's curious whether you'll collapse into neediness or stand firm in composure. Think about it. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't notice your reaction at all. But when she playfully ignores your comment, delays replying to your message, or pretends to be distracted while still glancing at you from the corner of her eye, she's not gone. She's watching. She's measuring. She's wondering if you're strong enough to handle her storm without losing yourself. This is why so many men fail these moments. They react with frustration. They try harder. They get louder. They push for attention. And in doing so, they show the very thing she was hoping not to see: insecurity. Instead, the Stoic approach is simple. Remain steady. Don't overreact. Don't chase. Don't sulk. Just breathe. Just be. Let her see that your energy doesn't depend on her approval in that instant. That's where attraction deepens. Because here's the paradox. She pulls back, not to get rid of you, but to feel the gravity of your presence when you don't move. She wants to see if you remain the same man, whether she's all over you or giving you the cold shoulder. This push and pull can play out in 100 subtle ways. Maybe she teases you, then pretends she was just joking. Maybe she goes quiet, but sits close enough that her presence is still undeniable. Maybe she takes longer to respond, only to show up brighter than ever the next time. These aren't rejections, they're signals wrapped in tension. And the men who understand this know that the right move is no move, just composure. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's your anchor. When she plays hard, you don't need to match her games. You only need to show her, through your calm, that nothing outside can shake your center. That steadiness is what makes you magnetic. So the next time this happens, the teasing, the pullback, the little cold spells, don't overanalyze. Don't chase it. Recognize it as proof that she's thinking about you, wrestling with her own attraction. Let her play her game, and let your silence, your steadiness, be the answer. If you've ever experienced this dance, warm one moment, distant the next, leave a comment. I've felt that. And stay tuned, because if her games reveal her curiosity, wait until you notice how her body itself starts pointing the truth, even when her words don't. That's the next sign, and it's one you can't afford to ignore. Sign 7. She goes quiet and waits for your next move. Sometimes the loudest signal isn't in what she says, it's in the silence. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she may suddenly fall quiet in your presence. Not because she's bored, not because she has nothing to say, but because silence is its own kind of invitation. It's a pause, a space she leaves open, waiting to see how you'll step into it. Let me give you a real example. David, 58, recently widowed, lives in Phoenix. He met Karen, 53, at a community book club. At first, their conversations were light and easy, small talk about novels, movies, the usual. But one evening, as they sat side by side after the meeting, something shifted. Karen went quiet. She wasn't distracted by her phone. She wasn't looking around the room. She simply sat there, gazing at David, waiting. He told me, it felt like she was saying something without words, like she wanted me to take the lead, to see if I'd notice. That's exactly what this sign, island silence, isn't absence. It's a test, a subtle invitation, a way of saying, I'm here, but what are you going to do about it? And here's the truth. When a woman goes quiet around you, it often means you've captured her focus. She doesn't need to fill the space with chatter. She doesn't want to risk breaking the tension. She wants to feel you lead. This is powerful, because most men do the opposite. They panic, they overtalk, they fill the silence with nervous words, and in doing so, they lose the very moment that was meant for them. Instead, the best move is to be comfortable in that silence. Hold it, relax into it, let it breathe. Because when you can sit with her in that space without fidgeting or forcing conversation, you send a message stronger than words. You're steady, confident, unshaken. Karen later admitted to David that those quiet moments were the most intimate for her. She said, "It wasn't what you said. It was that you didn't rush to fill the silence. That told me more than any words could." See, silence is never just silence. It's either distance or depth. And when her quiet comes paired with eye contact, closeness, or a little smile, you know which one it island. Here's how you recognize it. She's lively with others, but suddenly soft with you. She stops talking mid-sentence, leaving space but doesn't walk away. She lets the air hang heavy between you while keeping her attention right on you. That's not disinterest, that's vulnerability. That's her creating a moment for you to lead. The philosopher Seneca once said, "Speech is the index of the mind." But sometimes it's the lack of speech that tells you even more. A quiet pause can expose thoughts that words would only cover up. So when this happens, don't rush. Don't fill the gap with chatter. Just meet her eyes, smile, stay calm. And if it feels right, move a little closer, because chances are that's exactly what she's waiting for. If you've ever been in that moment where her silence felt louder than words, drop a comment. I've felt that. And pay attention, because if her quiet presence is one clue, the way her body itself points toward you, even when her words don't, is another. That's the next sign, and it's even harder for her to hide. Sign 8. Her body faces you, even when her words don't. Most people focus on words. They hang on to sentences, jokes, questions, answers. But attraction often bypasses words completely. It shows up in the body. One of the strongest, most reliable signals is direction. Where is she pointed? Where does her body naturally align, even if her mind tries to play it cool? Here's the truth. People can control their expressions. They can fake a smile. They can force a laugh. They can even train themselves to keep eye contact. But the body, especially the feet, hips, and torso, betrays where the attention really island. If she's in a group conversation and her shoulders are angled toward you, that matters. If she's speaking to someone else but her feet are pointing in your direction, that's a clue. If her entire body turns toward you when you enter the room, even if she doesn't immediately acknowledge you with words, that's attraction bleeding through. Why does this happen? Because alignment reveals focus. On a primal level, humans orient themselves toward what matters most. When she faces you, she's subconsciously saying, "You're the center of my world right now." And here's what makes it powerful. She might try to play hard with her words. She might talk to her friends, keep the conversation casual, act like you're not even part of it. But if her body is pointed at you, she's not fooling anyone. The subconscious has already given her away. The Stoics often spoke about the truth revealed in actions rather than speeches. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul is dyed by the thoughts. When her thoughts are on you, her body follows, even if her words take a different path." Think about it. You walk into a room. She doesn't say anything. Maybe she even pretends not to notice. But her chair shifts slightly in your direction. Her knees angle toward you. Her posture opens up when you're nearby. That's not random. That's not meaningless. That's attraction in the language of the body. Here's how to test it. Notice what happens when you move. If you shift positions, does her body subtly adjust to keep facing you? If you stand across the room, does she angle herself so you're still in her line? These micro movements are like whispers from her subconscious. Most men miss this because they're too focused on the obvious, the smile, the laugh, the words. But body direction is often the purest signal because it's harder to fake. And the best part? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, what should you do when you catch this? Nothing drastic. Don't call it out. Don't make it awkward. Just recognize it. Enjoy it. Let it build your confidence. Because when her body keeps giving you away, you know you're already in her head. Seneca once said, "Truth is simple." That applies here. Words complicate. Excuses complicate. But the body stays honest, and honesty is where desire lives. So if you've ever noticed her body facing you, even while she's pretending to focus somewhere else, leave a comment. "I've seen this." And pay attention, because if her body points at you, the next step is even more telling. Sometimes she won't just align herself toward you. She'll start showing up in places where you are, almost like it's an accident. That's the next sign, and it reveals just how deep you've already gotten into her thoughts. Sign 9. She runs into you way too often. At first, you think it's just coincidence. You see her at the coffee shop near your office. Then she shows up at the same gym you've been going to for years. A week later, she's accidentally at the same grocery store aisle, smiling like it's pure chance. But let's be honest, how many coincidences does it take before it stops being random? When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she'll often create opportunities to cross your path. Not in an obvious, stalker-like way. It's subtle, it's casual, it feels innocent on the surface. But underneath, it's her subconscious pulling her toward you, arranging these little encounters to keep you in her orbit. Let me give you a real-world example. Stephen, 46, a dentist in Chicago, told me about a woman he met through a mutual friend. Her name was Laura, 43, a project manager. At first, they only saw each other at group gatherings, but then Stephen started noticing a pattern. He'd go to his favorite cafe on Saturday mornings, and guess who was just stopping by? Laura. He switched his workout time at the gym to evenings, and a week later, she was there too. One time, he ran into her at the bookstore downtown, and she laughed, saying, "Wow, we must be on the same schedule." But Stephen realized something. She never ran into his other friends, just him, always him. That's how it works. When a woman is drawn to you, her mind seeks proximity. She positions herself in your world. She doesn't need to declare it outright. She doesn't even need to plan it in detail. But she'll bend her schedule, shift her habits, just to increase the chances of accidentally being where you are. And it feels good for her too, because each encounter gives her another memory, another little spark. It lets her imagination stretch further. What if we belonged in the same spaces already? Now, here's the important part. Don't dismiss this as pure coincidence, but don't call it out either. If you make it obvious, "Hey, are you following me?" you risk embarrassing her and shutting down the very thing that keeps her engaged. Instead, let it happen. Enjoy the moments. Meet her with calm confidence, not surprise. These repeated chance meetings are her way of weaving you into her daily reality. They're the breadcrumbs that lead to something more. Because if she keeps showing up where you are, she's not just thinking about you occasionally. She's making you part of her routine, at least in her mind. Think about Stephen and Laura. After weeks of these encounters, Stephen finally suggested they grab lunch after bumping into each other at the bookstore. Laura smiled and said yes immediately, as if she'd been waiting for him to notice. And she admitted later that those coincidences weren't really coincidences at all. If you've ever noticed someone showing up in your world over and over, drop a comment. I've seen this. And get ready, because if she's already rearranging her life to run into you, the final sign is even stronger. It's not about being in the same place. It's about remembering the details, the things that matter most to you, and showing you she's been paying attention all along. That's the last sign, and it reveals more than words ever could. Sign 10. She remembers what turns you on. Attraction isn't just about physical closeness or nervous energy. It's also about memory. When a woman is secretly fantasizing about you, she doesn't just notice you in the moment. She carries the details with her, replaying them in her mind, building a private world where you already exist. And here's the giveaway. She remembers. Not just big things like where you grew up or what you do for work. She remembers the little things, the subtle things, the things that light you up. Maybe you mentioned once that you love old rock records, and weeks later she casually brings it up. I saw a vinyl shop downtown and thought of you. Or maybe you joked about your favorite drink, and suddenly she surprises you with it, smiling like it was nothing. It's not nothing, it's everything, because memory reveals focus, and focus reveals desire. Women don't invest mental energy into men they're not drawn to. When she recalls the smallest details, it's because those details stuck. They mattered to her. They stayed in her head because you're already in her imagination. Think about how powerful this really island. She doesn't just see you, she studies you. She builds a catalogue of what makes you smile, what makes you curious, what makes you feel alive. And every time she brings one of those things up, she's signaling, I've been thinking about you when you weren't around. That's more intimate than any compliment. Compliments can be thrown around casually. But memory? That requires attention. That requires care. That requires thought. And sometimes it goes even deeper. She remembers not just what you like, but how you reacted. She notices that your voice lifted when you talked about travel. She saw the way your face softened when you mentioned your dog. She remembers that you got quiet when talking about your father. Those aren't random observations. They're pieces of you she's holding on to. Pieces she's folding into her private narrative, where the two of you already share more than surface-level connection. The Stoics spoke about attention as a form of virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When she's holding on to your details, when her mind keeps returning to them, it's because you've become part of her inner thought life. That's where fantasy begins, not just in her body language, but in her memory. Now, what should you do when you notice this? First, appreciate it. Recognize the weight of it. Don't brush it off with, "Oh, you remembered that?" as if it's small. Acknowledge it with presence. Let her see that you value her attention. Second, understand what it means. It's not about manipulation or trying to use her memory against her. It's about seeing it as evidence. Evidence that you matter more than you think. Evidence that you're not just passing through her life, you're lingering in her imagination. And third, let it guide you. If she remembers what turns you on, she's not just recalling details. She's testing waters. She's seeing if you'll notice that she noticed. She's inviting you deeper without saying it outright. That's why this sign is so powerful. Out of all the signals, the fidgeting, the leaning in, the teasing, the touches memory is the one that lasts. It doesn't vanish when you leave the room. It doesn't fade the moment the conversation ends. It sticks. And if you stick in her mind, chances are you're already in her fantasy. So pay attention. Because when a woman remembers not just who you are, but what moves you, she's telling you something loud and clear without ever saying the words. She's not just thinking of you in passing, she's building a version of you in her world, and in that version, you're already more than just a thought. So let's wrap this up. We've just gone through 10 powerful signs that reveal when a woman is secretly fantasizing about you. From the way she gets physically close, to how her voice changes, to the small details she never forgets, each one is a window into her hidden attraction. And here's the real value. Once you can read these signals, you stop second-guessing yourself. You stop missing chances. You start moving with calm confidence, knowing exactly when she's drawn to you and why. Now, if you're ready to take this to the next level, I invite you to become a channel member. Inside, you'll find exclusive content on Stoicism, relationships, and self-mastery that goes far deeper than what we share here publicly. It's designed for men who want to live with clarity, control, and power in every part of life. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That way, you'll never miss the daily videos we create to help you understand attraction, psychology, and the mindset of the Stoic man. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.